This is the warranty and repair department. We're gonna come in here and bug them for a minute.
Hi.
So, a couple really cool things about this department. So, we have 3 seamstresses here full time, and they've pretty much been here since the beginning. So when Justin started the company early on, they were some of the original people that helped sew the first pieces.
Oh wow!
So they know the product line from beginning to end.
That's
literally
awesome.
the history of the company, right? So what we'll do here is if we have somebody that calls us up and says, "Hey, I broke a zipper," or "I think my boots are leaking," or whatever, they'll start a case. And once that case is started, it goes in the system. If it's a warranty thing and it's broken and it can't be fixed, they'll usually like send pictures. We'll validate the pictures, and then we can deny it or say, "Yep, that's truly a warranty."
I've been through that process.
Yeah,
with you guys.
Or if it's a repair, they'll send the item in, and then we have some talented ladies here that can fix a lot of things. Some things can't be repaired just because of the processes. Like there's some specialty tools that either have to be used at the factory, or it's a specialty fabric that we can only buy once or something like that, right?
Okay.
So when we're out, we're out. So they can fix most things, but there are occasionally some things that they cannot repair, and if that's the case, then we try to help the customer the best we can replace it.
Right.
But we have some specialty testing equipment. We can test gloves if they're leaking. We can test Gore-Tex fabric to see if it's leaking. There's a special machine. In fact, we'll go and do a demo. It's called a pseudo tester, and you can put the garment on it and see if water comes through it.
Okay.
Let's walk over there right now and we'll check it out. Okay.
Crazy.
So this right here is called a pseudo tester. The light's not great in here, but what it does is there's a round silicone cup right here, and we can pressurize water coming in from the back. And then what we'll do is we'll put the garment on it where the person says it's leaking. And then we'll clamp it in there and turn the water on and see if we can see water coming through. So we'll just do a quick demonstration here. Supposedly this one leaks. I haven't tried it. We'll see. So when you sit on a seat, you're going to make a pound and a half of pressure per square inch. Okay. Well, we can vary the pressure with the gauge here. I can go from 0 up to like 4.5 pounds. So I can put the pressure much higher than a human would when they're wearing it. But it allows us to see if there truly is a failure, right? So we're gonna turn it on, and we'll watch this gauge. I'm gonna just slowly add pressure to it. We'll see if water starts to come through the garment. Okay, so there's a pound. There's 2 pounds, not quite 2 pounds. And nothing's leaking. So let's try a different spot.
Oh, that's cool.
No water came through that seam. So that's good. You don't want it to fail, but I bet you there's gonna be a spot right there. Let's try this again. Just move it down a little bit. Throw some pressure at it.
That's crazy.
There's damage right there. I bet it would leak right there. So sometimes, we have to test it in multiple places to see if it's going to leak. It's still not leaking right there. Well, yeah, it's not leaking.
Dude, that's so cool.
That's a heck of a gizmo right there.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go.
There it is.
Yep. Now we got leaks. So this one truly did fail. We can see water coming out there, and I got water coming out. I don't know if you can see it with the camera, but it's coming out right under the bar. So when the customer says, "Hey, my butt's getting wet," well, guess what? Sure enough, we have a failure here. And as long as the garment's not abused, been used in a way, remember we talked about fit for use? If it hasn't been used in a way it wasn't designed to be used for, that's a full warranty. That's a replacement, right? Usually when a piece gets like this and it has a leak, it's not really that easy to repair. So we just replace it, full warranty.
Gotcha.
So this is the pseudo tester, kind of a fun little tool, right?
So is that something that with your license and partnership with Gore-Tex, that they would help with that? Because
they would actually
Gore-Tex
cover
related.
this, yes.
Okay.
Yep, they would cover that.
Got it.
That's neat.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yep, so we'll stockpile a bunch of pieces. And like every 6 months we send them to Gore-Tex that have failed, and they use it for testing, for evaluation.
Figure out why.
Yep. I mean, we have a good enough relationship with them, they trust us. It's not
sure.
But it's always good to learn from those failures, right? We have people, I mean, some of our first stuff that we made clear back in 2002, 2003, they've worn it for 20 years. They'll send it in because it starts leaking. And the Gore-Tex warranty, we talk about a lifetime warranty. Well, it's the lifetime of the garment, meaning garments are kind of like tires. You can get a 60,000 mile tire. It's going to last a long time, right?
Yeah.
But it's eventually going to wear out,
Yeah.
no matter what. The more you use it, it's eventually going to wear out. So garments are the same. You can build a piece that's extremely durable and could maybe last 20, 25 years, right? But eventually it's going to wear out.
Right.
So when we call it a lifetime warranty, it's the lifetime of the garment. If we get a garment in and the knees are starting to wear through and the butt's starting to wear through, it's not going to last that much longer, right? The garment's kind of used its lifetime expectancy. It's hard to warranty a piece like that. We're like, look, you've worn this out. Like, you've gotten plenty of mileage out of it. But if somebody sends us one like this piece is, I'd say it's 10 years old.
Yeah.
It looks great. Looks like it's in good shape. He's taking care of it. That absolutely qualifies for a warranty.
Sure.
There's a lot of life expectancy left in this piece. We really shouldn't have failed.
Yeah.
So we'll replace it.
Gotcha.
Does that make sense?
It's even still tough though after 10 years. I mean, I feel like life expectancy, that's still expecting quite a bit out of 10 years for.
It is.
That's
but,
good
we
for
don't
you
all
guys,
ride,
but
we don't all ride the same.
yeah,
Right.
My wife, she's not an aggressive rider. She sits down. We enjoy going on rides on the trail together, back into the lodge or whatever. And she could probably never wear a set out, right? And so maybe in 20 years she could, but she doesn't ride a ton and she doesn't ride aggressive versus me. I mean, I'm going to put 2,500 mountain miles on in a year, and I'm all over the place, and I'm snagging and stuff like that. Like, I could wear a piece out,
Sure.
fairly quickly because I'm hard on them. So it just depends on the usage,
Yeah.
the rider, how they ride, where they ride. But at the end of the day, if the rest of the garment is in good shape, we're going to warranty that.
Yeah.
Now, if they've torn something, and we hear this all the time, this is a good opportunity to kind of debunk some things. Let's say they tear something down here.
Yeah.
You can see I got myself wet. They tear something down here, and then they send it in because it's leaking in the butt. And we'll say, well, it's got a tear. That's no longer a warranty. And they'll be like, well, what does the tear down there have to do with it leaking up here? That's a great question because it kind of doesn't really make sense, right?
Sure.
Well, what happens is you guys saw that seam. You see this seam that was in here, right?
Yep.
Well, that seam is going to
Runs
run
all the way down.
right. And so what happens is if you tear something down here, it can pull that seam.
Yep.
And we've actually
makes
seen
sense.
it to where that seam can pull and stretch, and it'll cause it to leak because that seam's pulled. So people say, well, I don't understand why, tear down it. Well, that's why, because that seam goes all the way up the leg, and absolutely, it is possible.
Sure.
There's a T at the top, a T seam, and so it tries to pull that T apart right at the butt. So yeah, I mean, there's things that do affect the rest of the garment that, unfortunately, if you tear something down there, we can't.
Makes sense.
At that point in time, we can't guarantee it because it could have damaged internally. And we can test it. That's the cool thing is we can test it. We can actually see it. So people can get a little frustrated. Like, well, that tear isn't related to the. Well, here, let's show you the test. Like, we can show you, how it affected it. So we try to be fair.
Sure.
We try to be fair.
Yeah.
So
Some people clap back at some backlash, on that. Do you just straight up have to send them a little video of something like this test, or do you guys even have to go to that part of try to prove it to customers?
That starts to get into the weeds and takes a lot of time, and I think a good number of our customers know that
They'll understand, just trust you.
But there's always, a Karen or somebody
That's what I was meaning.
They
not,
exist.
not somebody I would never question anything if it was sent, but I was just, you get those people that really, they'll penny pick for a dime.
Well, and I understand it though, because, I mean, if we look at the real world, a lot of us have been at a point in time where we feel mistreated or not treated fairly, and so it's easy. If they don't know our culture, they're not getting the tour you're getting. they don't know what we're like.
Yeah.
They don't, and so they would just categorize us maybe like any other company, or I could see where they could assume the negative and feel like they were mistreated because they don't understand. And so I think that's a fair way to look. I don't necessarily
agree with them. But.
Yeah, like me knowing how much passion I put into it and how I want my customers to have a good experience. Like, I hope they understand. Like, we're trying to be fair.
Yeah.
Like, I know you paid a lot for that piece, but you did damage it. You know, and so
sure.
it's a two-way street.
Yeah,
for sure.
Absolutely.
So, our percentage rates are, we watch it really close. Our warranty claims, this isn't having anything to do with denied or approved, but it's less than 1%.
That's huge.
So
that's awesome.
Yeah, I feel like our product is built good enough that we don't have to deal with that many warranties.
Right.
So
yeah, that's a real small number.
Yeah. Let's talk. Cool. We got because we're in construction. Our photo studio is pretty messy, but we'll still show it to you anyway.
Okay.
Because this is real, right?
Yeah.
We'll check it out
here. We may have somebody in here. I don't know.
Getting that IRL.
So this is our photo studio.
Yeah.
Now, at one point in time, this was the R&D room. Before we added on to the second part of the building, I'll show you that in a second. We had cubicles set up down here, and this was the R&D department in the original building.
Okay.
Once we moved the R&D department upstairs, we added on. This became a photo studio. Right now, you can see we've got a protective barrier. They're cutting a hole in the wall because we're doubling. We're actually going to move part of R&D back down here. We've bought a bunch of big machines.
Okay.
So we bought some fancy things to, like 3D printers. We have some 3D printers already, but we're bringing in some big ones, some laser cutters, some mills, and things like that we can make hard parts with. So they've just cut a hole in the wall. There's a brand new room on the other side. Let me see if we can. And I don't really want to hurt it. Yeah, we'll look at it from the other side. Okay. But anyways, so we usually do video, and every time we create a new piece, it has to be shot for the website, for the catalog, for advertising, things like that.
Is this where, is it, his name Luke?
Lucas does some of the walkthroughs, yep.
Is this where
some
you guys do a lot of that stuff? Okay,
yep.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Gotcha.
So, pretty messy because obviously we're doing construction, but this will
you gotta make do.
It'll be twice the size here in about 2 weeks.
Is this the airbag?
That is the motors. Yeah, the AI1 airbag. Go ahead, pull it over here.
Jeff.
Let's talk about this for a second.
Yeah, if you don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I think it's freaking. When I saw this, I was like, "That's possible. That's crazy."
So this is a motorcycle airbag. So the user wears it, and if they get in an accident, it deploys and protects the neck and the torso. So there's a bladder that goes down here and around. And on the back of this mannequin, let's turn him around, there's a computer that clicks in right here. And then inside this compartment, there's a really tiny, I think they're argon. We have argon and nitrogen, I think. And so what happens is the computer has like gyroscopes in it, and it's calculating motion.
Yep.
And what we've done is we've gone out and we've used a data logger to data log a whole bunch of writing. The company we work with is called In Motion. They're the ones that actually developed some of this. So they've got millions of miles, millions of lines of data of people riding normally on a road or on a race course. And then they take that and they use a computer to calculate what motions they're going to see in a crash.
Yeah.
And so this thing calculates like 1,000 times a second or something like that. I don't remember what the number is.
Wow.
But essentially, when you get in a crash, your motion's going to change drastically, right? So if you hit something, you're going to move forward, right? Or if you high side, all of a sudden the whole body's going to go down. Well, this thing can deploy in basically a 60/100th of a second, I think. So when it actually deploys, and it's like a true airbag in a car, it goes pop, like really fast pop. Yeah. In fact, if you're wearing it, it doesn't really knock the wind out of you, but you know, you get that compression from it popping. Yeah. But then it protects the rib cage, torso, neck in the event of a crash. And it's amazing how the level of safety that they add.
Sure.
Pretty big hit. You guys notice?
Yeah, for a pretty big hit. So now, like, all the MotoGP guys have to wear these. All the Dakar racers have to wear them. So they're mandatory. They've developed them to the ski market, downhill ski market.
Oh, sure.
Horseback riding, they use them for equestrian riding now. So they've really expanded into a lot of sports where there's a potential crash impact. And they're continuing to expand into other sports as well.
Sure.
Were you guys the first to come out with this?
In the U.S.
Nice.
Yeah, in the U.S. These guys they're out of France. They had stuff in MotoGP that they were doing already. But we were the first to bring it to the U.S.
That's cool.
Yeah. So pretty neat technology. We're expanding on it. We have a adventure mode and a street mode that we use in the U.S. and then of course we sell it in other countries too. But
Sure. Yeah, that's cool.
I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
It's a pretty neat feature that, like, if you're in the snowmobile world and you don't use road bikes, you don't really know about it.
Yeah. I've just seen it like from your site, and then I got hit with some ads and stuff when it first came out, and I, did some research and looked into it, and I was like, oh, and I don't ride motorcycles or anything, but I was like, oh, that's a thing. Like, that's so cool that you can incorporate something like that, because obviously motorcycling and stuff is such a hazard. So many people get in crashes and die, all that kind of stuff. That's pretty awesome that you guys were able to create.
What's really cool is when you get a phone call or a letter or an email, and they send you all these pictures and they're like, I want to thank you. You saved my, your product saved my life. Like, please send this to all your designers. Like, let them know you get something like that. I mean, that's, jobs are frustrating, right? You're busy, you're overwhelmed, you got a lot to do. Like, sometimes and then you get a note of someone saying, hey, you saved my life. Like,
oh, this is why I do this.
It's reassuring.
That's a game changer for you. You're like, okay, this is, I'm glad we work hard for this. Because
that's even more than the one coming back that my hand stayed warm on the gloves. So thanks,
When
you're saving somebody's life, that's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yep. So pretty fun product, pretty cool product there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Heck yeah.
Let's go down and check out sales and marketing just real quick, and then we'll come back around and we'll go to the warehouse and head out to the marketing bay. How about that?
Let's do it.
Okay.
Sounds good.